Yeah, there's a ton of bots trying to get the PS5 in particular, especially at Walmart. It seems like that's the worst place to try and get one right now. But it looks like we got a few people joining. So there's a funny story how I got this one. So I wasn't totally sold on getting the PS5, at least not yet. I didn't go into it on launch day last week thinking I was going to try and get one, but I kind of like playing a little game with myself, sort of for fun, just trying to see if I can get these launch day things in my cart. And hey, if I get them in my cart and I can get through the checkout process, which is the real test, then my finger might just slip and hit place order. And that's kind of what happened with the PS5. Now, I was looking forward to getting it, at least at some points, but hey, it was just kind of extremely lucky that I got it directly from PlayStation Direct last Friday. They were putting people into a queue to get onto the store, and it was just kind of a gigantic mess. The whole rollout, the whole Sony rollout on this was kind of a mess. It started with pre-orders. When they announced the day they announced the PS5, pre-orders went live, and nobody even knew or was expecting that, and so caused a lot of consternation with gamers out there. But I was able to get to bypass the little PlayStation queue on Friday. There was a little trick with the escape key if you're trying to do it from a keyboard, and a bunch of people figured that out on Reddit. And just so happened they were releasing a few bunches of consoles at a time, and if you were fast enough and you knew how to bypass that little queuing system they had, quite a few people seemed to pick them up on Friday, like I did. But if you're still looking to get your hands on a PS5, PlayStation Direct is probably one of the better options, unless you just keep checking Best Buy, Target all day long. I've heard a lot of people had success in picking them up at Target, like going super early in the morning. I saw people were showing up there at like 4 or 5 a.m. last week, but having pretty decent success and just lining up to get one. But if you're trying to get one online, I've heard Best Buy is pretty good with their store pickup option. So you go to the site and you go to the PS5 page, and if the button's yellow for you to add it to your cart, you can do that, and then you're kind of in this little queue until they let you go to the checkout process. So I've heard that it's a little bit better experience than kind of the feeding frenzy of all these other websites. So Best Buy and PlayStation Direct might be the best options right now, unless you want to pay $1,000 on eBay or something like that. All right. Well, enough of that chatting. Let's get right into the unboxing, shall we? So I'm not a huge unboxing person. I don't watch a lot of unboxing videos. Probably that's just my nature, because as soon as I get something new, a new electronic, I usually just rip the box open, and I'm kind of like a kid on Christmas morning. But I wanted to do something special since I'm starting my channel. So thanks to all of you for being here and subscribing and sharing. I'm really excited to get this going. And I thought maybe a live unboxing would be pretty cool. Hopefully you think so too, as we kind of get into it. So let's get into it. So if you can see, this box is pretty huge, and the PS5 is supposed to be pretty huge itself. So I actually don't know exactly where I'm going to put it. I'm in my office, and the TV is right in front of me. It's kind of behind where I sit at my desk. I got my PlayStation over here in this little IKEA bookshelf unit, and I don't think this new one's going to fit in there. So we'll have to see where it goes. I don't know everything, every little detail about the PS5. I do know that compared to the Xbox, the Series X, which is the new one that's come out now, it is, I think, from a specifications perspective, it's a little bit not slower or worse. It's just, I think the Xbox has a little edge up when you compare specs. But specs aren't really, I think, everything when it comes to PCs and devices nowadays, especially gaming consoles. The PS5 and the Xbox Series X are pretty neck and neck, at least on paper. But now that they're coming out, I think we're going to see how true that is, and a lot of it comes down to the games too, right? All right. So the top's open. And there's the sort of the cover right there. All right, so we're down to the inner box with a nice little PS logo. Up. All right, I guess we're supposed to turn this upside down. Okay. All right, there it is, shrouded in mystery. All right, so we got one of these little boxes, I'm assuming, with all the cables and goodies in it. And here we go, the moment of truth. Now this thing is pretty tall. I'm going to keep you in suspense. This thing is looking pretty tall and slender. Actually, I've seen pictures of it. If you've seen it, it's got a very, very interesting design to it. I mean, it's definitely not a box or a rectangle or, a little angled, layered rectangle going on like the PS4 was. This is a kind of wild departure from Sony's previous designs for their PlayStations, where they were just, black, sort of matte plastic, except for the PS3, which is kind of like, I think it might have been fatter than this, but definitely not as tall. So this design with the white and black, as you'll see here in a second, it looks really nice in person. There we go. And there it is right there. Kind of looks like a skyscraper, miniaturized little skyscraper that plays video games. So it's got, I got the one that has the disc version, of course, right here. There's also the digital edition that doesn't have the disc. So this one is $4.99 plus tax. And the other one, the digital version, is $3.99 plus tax. I think there's something to say about owning your own games. If you download games, it's great. It's really convenient. Especially if you have a high-speed internet connection. But of course, you own those games on that console, on that account, but you can't really do anything else with them. You can't really share them, resell them, of course, trade them into GameStop and get robbed for it. But so that's why I went with the disc version. And it's, of course, a Blu-ray, right? I'll get you a little closer look there. So it looks really nice. And Sony actually published a teardown video of their own. So rather than somebody, another reviewer getting their hands on this and tearing it down and taking a look at the insides, Sony published their own little short, like 5-minute or so video, and took the panels off, kind of show you exactly what's inside of it. And it's really cool because these white panels, like I said, it's a very, very different design for them, kind of striking. And the white panels are kind of matte to the touch. They're not glossy. And then the black is very glossy. So you got a nice little contrast two-tone going on there. So I think, they really wanted something that was going to stick out. Yeah, definitely in your living room, right? In your entertainment center. So instead of another black box, you got this, white monolith, so to speak. Definitely going to draw some attention. And keep it up. Keep trying, Wendy. I'm sure you're going to pick one up pretty soon. We'll make sure to get you one. But for the longest time, I think when it comes to design of these gaming consoles, these third party things like Apple TV. If you notice, a lot of them are just black, kind of boring things that sit in your entertainment console. And I think for the longest time, that's what everybody kind of wanted, because they wanted these things to blend in and sort of be unseen. They weren't really made to look pretty or to look good. They were just made to, serve a utility and sit on your shelf. But now, I think we're starting to see, at least with the PlayStation 5, they're taking a little bit different direction with that. And then, of course, compared to the Xbox Series X, which is sort of like a little mini fridge looking thing, all black, there's definitely a huge difference. But the other cool thing about these sides is the white sides here pop off pretty simply. I'm not going to do that right now, but or maybe I will. No, maybe another time. But they can pop off really simply, which is cool because I've already seen, other people have customized the little sides here, spray painted them. I've seen one spray painted red with a really cool blue Spider-Man logo on it, which is, one of the launch titles that came out with the PS5, Spider-Man Miles Morales. And so I kind of am getting some ideas as I'm seeing, what other people are doing. So maybe we'll do another video on spray painting this thing red, which is my favorite color. Yeah, it does. That's a good point, Veronica. It does kind of look like, what is the name of that famous building in Dubai? I know it. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. All right, so we're going through the little goodies box here. We got the power cable, right? Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. No, it's just a power cable. All right, quick start guide. Again, going right in the trash. Safety guide. This is probably, I think this is the one that tells you, take a break every 30 minutes while you're playing video games. Not a giveaway, Esther, but at least not yet. I've been thinking if I get to 100 subscribers, maybe I'll give something nice away, like a new MagSafe charger for the iPhone, something like that. So while today's not a giveaway, maybe in the future there could be one. Now this is cool. This right here, like you may be thinking, what the hell is this? But it is the stand for the PS5. So I'm going to take a closer look at that in a second. It's actually a really cool, impressive part of engineering. And what I really love is, there's not really much to this design. I mean, it's just a circle with obviously some parts that attach to the PlayStation. But when design and utility really come together, that's what makes something really special from a design perspective. And you're going to see what I'm talking about in just a minute with that stand. Cayenne Tower in Dubai. Now it's something. Oh, there you go. Burj Khalifa. Thank you, Jason. That's it. That's the one I was thinking of. So you got the HDMI cable. I'm pretty sure it's one of the high-speed HDMI cables, which is needed to run 4K content, especially gaming. you want to make sure you have a really nice HDMI cable. For other things as well, like the Apple TV 4K, there's only certain content that can stream, or not stream, but play over a high quality, high speed HDMI cable. Just don't go out and spend $150 on a monster HDMI cable, please. I'd either go to Amazon, go to Monoprice, which is another awesome little spot for any kind of cables or things like that. Here's another cable, the USB-C to USB-A cable. So this would be for charging the controller, which we'll get to in a second. All right. And I love that it's USB-C, right? So if there's a lot of Android phones out there that have USB-C, and there's the USB-C connector I'm talking about there, right? Very similar looking to a lightning cable, but different, very different. I mean, it's actually USB. And so you may have some of your devices that have USB-C cable. They're starting to incorporate it a lot more into new devices coming out. So I'm glad to see it on the PlayStation 5. And right now we're kind of in this weird limbo where some of the stuff has USB-C, some of the stuff, of course, a lot of the Apple stuff has Lightning, but a lot of tech that's just coming out still has the really old micro USB connector. And you probably got like 1 million of those little micro USB cables laying around the house. So that's convenient because you can, plug them into a bunch of different stuff. But, it'll be nice once everything's on USB-C and we can plug, that into virtually everything. Except the iPhone, it would appear. But that's for another video. All right. So here we go. Here's the controller. This is the DualSense controller. Also two-tone, right? Black and white. Pretty cool looking. I'd say in all the pictures, I thought it looked pretty nice. Seeing it in person, oh wow, it actually feels really comfortable to hold. I'd say compared to the PlayStation 4 DualShock controller, just first impression, of course, this feels, I think, much more comfortable. Especially in the palm, like right here, where the controller, meets your palm right there, it just feels like it's kind of locked in there and more secure than the old PlayStation controllers, which, a lot, there's so many opinions on controllers. The Xbox is loved by a lot of gamers, PlayStation, Xbox gamers alike. And, but, there's a lot of love for the DualShock out there too. I used to prefer the Xbox controller. I didn't really care too much for the PlayStation DualShock, but I don't know. I'm going to have to obviously play with it and see how it really goes. But just, first impressions on the feel, it feels really nice, really solid. Yeah, actually the analog sticks feel much more solid too than the PlayStation 4 controllers. There's something about the PS4 controllers that just felt like a little cheap to me. Like they weren't engineered and manufactured to a super high standard. This feels much different. This feels like extremely solid. I don't hear any creaking or anything, pressing the buttons or moving the controller around. It feels extremely solid. Very Apple-esque too. And of course, you got the legendary triangle, square, circle, and cross button. Apparently, Sony has referred to it as a cross, not an X. But looks pretty nice. And then the touchpad here, of course. Now, what's really going to be interesting are the triggers. The two triggers on the back here, of course, L1, I should say L2 and R2. So far, they feel maybe a little bit better than the Xbox. I'm sorry, than the PlayStation 4, the DualShock controllers. I never really cared for how those controllers felt to use. But what's really cool about this is the triggers have something. They're called adaptive triggers. So if you're playing like a shooter, for instance, and you press down on the R2 button, on the R2 trigger to shoot, instead of getting some generic rumble feedback like you normally would for any shooter, right? You get this sort of, repetitious movement of the trigger in response to, like your gun firing. So it simulates, recoil more realistically, and you can feel that in the trigger. If you go and search, about the adaptive trigger on the PS5 controller, the DualSense, there's a ton of videos out there, that show that in action. You can actually see the trigger bouncing back and forth in response to, like the shooting, for instance, which, I mean, that sounds really cool. It's like the smallest things that people think about that create, the largest innovations and really move things forward, right? Like who would have thought, we've been using these controllers forever. We have rumble features forever. And now we've got this really cool sounding adaptive trigger that responds to, to what we're doing in the game. So I want to see what that's really like, of course, but it sounds like, that's going to add even more immersion when you're playing. So it sounds really cool. All right. So I'm going to go to the back to the stand real quick. Is it too big for my hands, Veronica? Well, you have tiny hands, but I think you'll manage. All right, so back to the stand really quick. So the way you attach the stand, let me see if I can get this right. You can use the PS5 in either orientation, right? So you can stand it up like this, or you can lay it down. And the stand actually attaches, can attach both ways. All right, so if you are going to stand it upright, let's see. And I've only seen this done a couple times, so I may be doing this totally wrong. Let's see. I might have to consult the guidebook that I said I was going to throw in the trash. That serves me right. Let's see. Pretty sure it goes on this way. All right, I'm breaking out the quick start guide. All right. All right, so the little hook here has to go to the back, right? So I'm going to put this thing right side up. Oh. So it says you'll need to reconfigure the base for the position of your console, which is, like I was saying, can go in either orientation. So depending on how you want to do this, you need to adjust the base to compensate for that. So let's see, rotate the top and bottom. Oh, okay. Keep rotating until you hear a click. So this is what I was talking about when engineering kind of meets utility here. Let me bring this back around before I show you guys. Okay, so here's the little bottom of the base, right? And so you need to kind of turn this plate for the upright orientation. So you turn it, just turn it around like that. See that? And when you turn it, there's a little tool inside the compartment here. See that? Okay. All right. So for the upright position, you have to remove this little cap on the bottom of the PS5. It's a little tiny black circular piece of plastic. Okay. All right, so we're going to do that and attach the screw hole cap to the bottom of the base. Okay, here we go. All right, so that little tool that I was talking about, it's actually a screw. So you line this up like this, you pull the little screw out of the base itself, and you stick it through the bottom of the base, right there. And you're ready to attach it to your PS5. So I'm going to put that down. Just set it on there. And it's got a little slot. I'm going to kind of do this backwards, upside down. So it's got a little slot in the screw, so you can, grab a quarter or something and turn it and get a nice nice connection here. But just so you can see what it looks like. There we go. So that's the upright orientation, right, with the base there. And it kind of hooks into the back of the PS5 here. Very cool. And now we'll just do the horizontal orientation. Let's see. And so far I picked up one game that I mentioned earlier, Spider-Man Miles Morales. I played the original Spider-Man on the PS4 Pro, which is kind of the only reason I got a PS4. And I thought it was one of the best games I've ever played, easily. It's really true to the Spider-Man character. The story that they wrote for the game is top-notch. And one of the things and you actually kind of feel as if you're Spider-Man. And that's, one of the most important things about an iconic character like him, the web slinging through the city. You can't, if you get that wrong, like some of the old Spider-Man games definitely did, it's just, it's not going to be good for you. Nobody's going to like it. But, they got so much right about Spider-Man for the PS4. And can't wait to play the Miles Morales version. I've heard that as with any big launch like this, there's a few issues with the PS5 in particular, locking up, freezing. I think even some consoles have been bricked, which is to say they've been rendered useless by some weird glitch. So Sony's obviously looking at that. There's bound to be little glitches and bugs and stuff like that here and there with any big launch like this. But hopefully I'll be one of the lucky ones. Hopefully you will too. All right, so really quick, the horizontal position for the stand. All right, so you have to rotate the base back to its original position, which hides that little screw there, so you can't see the screw in the bottom. Okay. Then we're going to place the console with the rear side facing up, and align the base with the marked area. So let me see if I can show you this in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard to get the focus dialed in, but there are the controller buttons on there: the cross, the circle, the triangle, and the square. And that's where the base hooks in. So we're going to hook it in there. Let's see. All right. And that's basically it. So unlike unlike this orientation, which screws into the PS5, this one, the base just kind of hooks on to the white plastic, and that's pretty much it. So it doesn't click in or anything. It just kind of hangs on there. And yeah, it feels pretty stable. Of course, there's a little give because it's just kind of hooked on. But, you know, if this is going to be laying flat, then it shouldn't really be moving around too much. So that's pretty cool. I kind of like, I think, just looking at it, I think I like this orientation better. You know, it kind of gives it that building looking vibe, which would look cool on a, you know, on your entertainment center or your bookshelf. I mean, this is cool too. That kind of makes it look more, you know, like a little spaceship or something. All right. One more thing. So this is a really cool little attention to detail on the controller that I forgot about. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you know, on the back of, you know, most gaming controllers, you've got a little texture that gives you, you know, some grip. So, you know, when you're eating your Cheetos, Mountain Dew, and you introduce that grease, of course, you can hold on to the controller still pretty well. But what's really cool, and you probably can't see it because it's very, very fine, but the texture on the back of the controller grips is made up of little tiny controller button symbols. So you got again, the circle, the square, the triangle, and the X texturized into the controller. So I'll see if I can get a better shot for Instagram. I'm guessing you can't see that, but I'll get a better shot. And they're extremely tiny little controller button logos on there. And so, you know, not only does that give you some texture, but it's a nice, pretty awesome little reference to Sony's, you know, classic controller symbols. So I thought that was just a really cool touch. And there's, you know, those kind of touches all over the place. You know, Sony's really leaning into their branding with those controller buttons. You know, a lot of gamers recognize those, and, you know, even non-gamers. So, you know, why not use it more? I think that's pretty clever. And that's pretty much it for the unboxing. So anybody have any questions, anything you'd like me to follow up on the PS5? I'm definitely going to plug it in right away after this live stream is over. Get it updated, start getting Miles Morales loaded onto it. But any questions, anything you'd like me to follow up on for you? And I'll definitely let you know how Spider-Man is. I was talking about bugs and glitches a minute ago, and I've heard there's a few in that game in particular. I don't think there's anything too game breaking, but yeah, I've seen some funny glitches on YouTube. Does it come with any games? I wish. Actually, that's a very apropos question. So it actually does come with a game. I'm drawing a blank now. It's sort of like a little introductory game to get you used to, you know, the new controller and how that feels. And I'm totally blanking, but it's funny because Sony made it in a way that's like very addicting and very invitive. So a lot of people have ended up playing that. I think a lot more than they thought they would for, you know, a little introduction game. So that's kind of funny. But, you know, that's just kind of like a little tutorial on how to use the new controller and kind of get you started on the PS5. But of course, there's, you know, there's bundles out there that do come with games, but you got to pay more for that. Thank you, Samosa A. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So I hope you enjoyed my first live stream. I definitely did. Like I said, I'm super excited to start my channel, get some videos out there. And, you know, I did my announcement video last week. So thank you all. Thanks to all of you who subscribed, liked, turned on notifications, all that good stuff, as the kids say these days. And, you know, please continue to share it with anyone who you think might be interested in learning more about tech. I just greatly enjoy talking about it. As I'm sure you can tell, it is my life's greatest passion, and I love, educating others about it. And of course, gaming is part of that too. But coming up pretty soon, I've got some awesome reviews planned. I was going to start with the Apple Watch Series 6, but there's so much stuff that's come out. The HomePod Mini, there's two of them on my desk right now. I think you can see one of them behind me over here under the monitor. Those things, I got them yesterday, and they are phenomenal. I'm shocked at how good they sound for such a little tiny speaker. So there's that. There's the Apple Watch. There's the monster, as I call it, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which I'm loving so far. The PS5, of course, the Oculus Quest 2. So there's a lot to choose from. I want to do videos on all of them. I'm probably going to do the Apple Watch first still, followed closely or in parallel with the HomePod Minis. For $100, that little, like I said, that little tiny speaker, I'm super jazzed about it. I think they're going to sell a ton of them, especially next month for the holidays. So yeah, keep an eye out. Pretty sure the Apple Watch Series 6 is going to come first, then some kind of order, including the HomePod Mini, the iPhone, and the Oculus Quest 2. So thank you all again for watching and listening. Until next time, thanks for listening to my One Tech Mind.